Hi everybody, as Paul says, I'm Nicola Rundle and I oversee career services across Europe. Very excited to be here today. I work essentially with organisations that are going through change and transformation to design and deliver through our teams and our resources, outplacement services that are both effectively aligned with their needs and the needs of their people, and also truly people-centred, and we'll talk a lot more about that throughout the session today. Just flicking to the next slide, thanks Paul. Paul asked me to share three things essentially in my section. The first of those being what's happening in the market that's shaping the way that careers are evolving. So we're going to look at that. We're also going to look at what that then means for people who are navigating a career transition, and landing on some practical guidance on keeping outplacement people first, even in a tech-driven world. So let's dive in. Let's start with taking a look at what's happening in the market. Now, I've picked out four key shifts that are shaping the landscape. There are many, but four key ones that we're seeing. The first is that organisations are planning their workforce differently, more dynamically, less around static job titles, but around skills. And this means mapping skills that they have, the skills that they need, and working out how to close and respond to the gaps in between. So that shift is allowing for much more agile deployment of talent, whether that's through reskilling and upskilling, redeploying talent, or hiring new talent in, or even using short-term talent for projects or particular assignments. The second shift that we're seeing is AI. It's already making a difference in terms of how organisations are managing talent. It can speed up the analysis of skills data. It can improve the matching of people to opportunities, and we're certainly using that within our outplacement offering. And it takes repetitive admin off our hands. But there's a twist here, and it actually means that the human skills like creativity, like attention to detail, adaptability and empathy are even more important. We're also seeing much more fluid management of talent, particularly around internal mobility. So organisations that I'm speaking with are really focused on career frameworks, on internal career coaching. Talent marketplaces, for example, are evolving to support that quick movement of talent across teams and projects. And then finally, for individuals, the shift I wanted to highlight is the career ladder is looking a lot more like a climbing frame. And the image I had in mind is that kind of primary school, for those of you who remember a climbing frame, that dome-shaped climbing frame. Workers need to be more active, proactive navigators of their own career. That means curating skills, it means exploring lateral moves and thinking about the value that they bring, not just the role that they hold. And we're certainly focused very heavily on that in the outplacement support that we provide. So these shifts are exciting on a macro level, but for somebody suddenly facing job loss, they can feel quite overwhelming. So let's take a look on our next slide at what that actually feels like for individuals who are facing transition. So if you haven't searched for a job in several years, or even the last couple of years, you need to know that it's changed quite dramatically. And of course, technology has been a big driver of that. It's transformed the job search process, and job seekers are often feeling quite overwhelmed by that fact. And we hear this as well from our candidates. And you can see some of the topics that are raised on the screen here. So we hear many candidates asking things like, how do I get past the AI screening systems? What does that even mean? Things like, if everyone's using AI to write their CVs and their cover letters, how do I stand out? Additionally, things like how do I prepare for one-way interviews that people might have heard of? How prolific actually are they? What do they look like? And which opportunities are even real? when there's lots of ghost opportunities, or include, scams are out there as well. So we need to help people to be alert to those types of things. Add to that the competition for hybrid or remote roles and the pressure to keep your skills relevant. It's kind of no wonder that people today are feeling quite overwhelmed. And you think about navigating all of that without expert guidance and coaching, that job search process can become quite confusing and possibly ineffective, can potentially take you longer. So when people have the support from professionals, it can really help them to cut through that noise and to move forward with far greater clarity and confidence. And that's really what they need to keep focused on moving forward. Now, one of the things that we never lose sight of, I'm showing it on the next slide, is the fact that job loss it's highly emotive. It hits people at that identity level. And in fact, it's continuously sort of ranked among the top 10 most stressful life experience that people go through. And the research that I'm sharing here, it dates back to 2022, but still relevant today, that employees are actually much more highly likely to develop new health conditions in the 18 months following redundancy. It can take an average of 2 years to recover psychologically. And also, people often face salary reductions of up to 20% compared to their peers who were not made redundant. So there's some quite, key impacts to people's lives and livelihoods and professional careers that we must not forget. And when organisations are having to make those really tough decisions, they want to know, you want to know that your people are going to be okay, they're going to be cared for, and that they're going to achieve their goals. And we also remember that those who remain in the organisation are also watching very closely to see how you handle exits. And of course, that then has a knock-on effect for morale and engagement and trust in the workplace. So I would say the bottom line is that job loss and job search are not do-it-yourself projects. People need structured guidance, personalised coaching to really think about their future, to focus on moving forward, and also to be able to be really timely about that so that it doesn't just drag on. Now, our role in outplacement when somebody experiences job loss is recognising that quite naturally many people will start their progress in a place of uncertainty and often feeling quite vulnerable. People sense that real loss of identity, they worry about their market fit, paying bills, anxiety about potential skill gaps. But when the right support is at hand, they can really turn that into an opportunity. And outplacement is there to help them do that. So outplacement gives people that parenthesis of time in which to really focus and think about things like reskilling, pivoting to new industries, or even maybe accessing remote roles that perhaps weren't in their thought process before, but now a possibility. So the goal of outplacement, I would say, is to help people to bridge that gap. So moving from that place of uncertainty to opportunity, and doing it with a kind of a fresh sense of resilience and confidence. Now, in our organisation, we talk about human first and tech always. And on my next slide, I've got an illustration of that. So human first, tech always, in other words, it goes without saying that technology is a powerful enabler. So it helps us to scale support, it helps us to match skills to jobs, it provides that learning on demand, but it should never really replace the empathy, the motivation, the reassurance that people need during such a major life change. And in my experience, the most effective programs are those that are tech enabled, but not tech overwhelming. There is lots of technology out there. So for us, it's not about having all the technology, it's about having the right technology that's going to come together in a way that makes sense for those individual journeys. And it's very much about personalization because, and this is a mantra that we've been saying for many years, one size doesn't fit all. Every journey is unique. We need to recognize that. And that balance of offering both emotional support to build confidence and the practical tools to secure the next role or the next opportunity that that individual is looking for is really key. So companies that are able to really strike that balance don't just support their people better, they also protect their employer brand, and they're able to accelerate those transitions more effectively. So I've got a couple of case studies just to bring some of those points to life. And the first one was our experience with a global technology client who had to conduct quite a major restructuring across 60 countries, and it impacted more than 5,000 people. So they really needed a partner who could move quickly, but also deliver locally in local language and with real cultural sensitivity. So in a situation like this, being people-centered for us really starts with that partnership. So we mirrored the client setup, one global lead, 3 regional leads, so that we could work hand in hand with their HR and their business leaders. And within just a few weeks, we ensured that our local experts were fully briefed, that their HR had clear guidelines in local languages, and that stakeholders knew exactly how to explain and how to talk about the outplacement support. And that preparation meant that when those referrals for outplacement started coming into us, employees already had the confidence that the support was real, that it's accessible, and that it was human. There was going to be a person there who was going to walk that journey with them. And for me, this is people-centered outplacement at scale, making sure that not only employees are cared for, but also that HR and managers have the right tools to communicate, with that empathy and that consistency across their locations. At the other end of the spectrum, another case study, closer to home for many of you on the call in Ireland, is the support that we provided to a pharmaceutical company in Ireland where 28 people were impacted. So completely different scale. Here, the emphasis was on personalised coaching, the practical career tools, but also on protecting the employer brand in a tight local talent market. And we saw 85% of those individuals actively engage in their support, and every participant rated their coaching really highly. And that's people-centered outplacement at a very local level, where we're treating every individual with that respect that I've talked about, those individual journeys, whilst also helping the organisation to maintain that trust in the local community. So these are 2 examples, one global, one local, that I wanted to share that show that being people-centered isn't about the size of the project. It's about the approach. And whether you're supporting thousands of people across multiple countries or just a few dozen in one location, the principles are the same. We want to drive that consistency of message, empathy in our delivery, and care of your people. And shortly, you're going to hear from our guest, from Lauren, who's experienced outplacement support firsthand, both as a client and also as a candidate. And that's a really nice way to kind of further illustrate those points that I've been making. So just a roundup from me. Careers, I was going to say careers of the future, but we're seeing it now, are less about climbing a ladder. They're more about navigating a landscape. So outplacement isn't just about placing somebody in their next role. We recognise that people have different aspirations, and we support multiple career paths, new roles, self-employment, retirement, change of industry, back into education. It's about helping people to read the map, to choose the right direction for them, to feel confident and empowered about the value that they bring, and to move forward with purpose. And purpose is something that has really risen up as a priority for people in the last few years. And when we combine the best of human empathy with that smart technology, we can create transitions that are not just successful, of course we want to drive that, but that they're meaningful and they're sustainable. So it's about helping people to move forward with confidence, to build resilience, and to do it, in a timely way, recognizing that those results don't happen in isolation, but partnering with organizations to ensure that those transitions are managed with care and with consistency, and that they drive the desired impact. So by supporting people, we're also strengthening the organization through those partnerships. So I'm going to pause there. Thank you for listening. I'll hand back to Paul and let you introduce Lauren.
Thanks, Nicola. Some really interesting stuff there. It's always striking, when we see this slide about the impact of outplacement on the individual. I've seen that slide before. It's really interesting to know that, and we spoke with clients from that side as well, exactly with that emotional and the physical impact it has. And from the case study as well, really interesting to see the scale of some of the work we do on some of those local examples. I think it's really good for people to see those in practice as well. So thanks, Nicola.